Hello there and welcome. Semois was one of the original Company of Heroes maps designed by Trial Bob of Relic, and he's done it again. He's made Semois 2, the sequel. It's kind of his ode to Company of Heroes, the game he loved, the game he spent so much time developing and making and modding. So, well, here we go. Semois 2 is on a Martian landscape, it seems, which is very interesting. And let me just get rid of the message, the playback button. There you go. Yeah. It seems to be roughly the same size and similar shape to Semois 1, with key differences being it's a little bit more symmetrical. There's a larger central ground that isn't as split up, but it is split up in the fact that there's bridges linking it, and there's strong features such as the church. The church has made its return. It is the church from Semois 1, with all we know about that. And let's discuss the resources. If we go from west to east, on the west you've got the western side's resource points that in theory should be kept by them for the majority of the game, thus keeping the Semois tradition of comebacks, because you've always had the idea that the player has a good meaty portion of resources regardless of the ebb and flow of the game. However, in Semois 2, the fuel resource, the main teching point, is cut-offable. Cut-offable. It's a new word I've just invented. By this point here for the west, and let's go to the east, this should make itself known, this point for the east, both by strong bridges. So if we look at that, you can see the white lines dividing them. So the plus 16 munitions and the plus 10 fuel are dominated by this one cut-off point. So that's very interesting. The cut-off points themselves are overwatched by the church. So if you were to get an MG in there, or perhaps an MG behind some of the cafeteria cover here and there, you can actually watch over it rather well. And let's talk more about the landscape of the map. The bridges, which are pretty much the dominant feature of any Semois map. Going from north to south, we've got the northern area, which has this strong house here, well, a medium house and a VP point, and that's flankable. It's immediately watched by these two bridges, a strong bridge and then this kind of water bridge here. But if you look to the north, if you're all the way around this ridge area, you can actually access it. So if you're an American player from the west, which is the fixed position for the American player, you can go all the way around and throw a few grenades in there perhaps and get rid of any rooted MG. Going a bit further south, we see the graveyard area. It's actually north of the church this time. And that would offer a lot of green cover protection. In fact, there's a lot of flanking routes for this church, so even if it is getting dominated for the Wehrmacht, or there's an MG in there, an American player can flank rather well. If there's a pin on this map, one interesting feature is these hedgerows there. What these hedgerows allow for is if you're trying to disperse from the bridgehead, you can then move south and north very quickly. Let me just make the game a little bit quieter. You can go south and north very quickly and start to flank. So yeah, that's very interesting, and that's evident for both sides. If you're a Wehrmacht player getting pinned, but heaven forbid, you can flank using the hedgerows. So that's very interesting, and I think, judging by this map compared to the hedgerows of the old map, he's actually made that feature a lot more prominent, and I think he's made what's good. The unintended great features that he stumbled upon of Semois 1, he's actually intended in this game, and they're purposeful. He's actually meant to put them in. They're actual features this time. So that's great. Working our way south a bit, we've actually got a farmland district here. I think it's quite nice because it looks a little bit like Langres, I think. It's very realistic, kind of puts you in the zone. A piece of France. And that piece of France then goes back to the mirror image of the north side, with a little water wheel there. We've got a medium house and the VPs. And interesting of note, we've got this point here, which can cut you off well, it can't cut you off much, but it does. It's of strategic value anyway. Of note again is this flanking point, which is arguably, let's have a look, is it easier to access than the other one? Yeah, this map is definitely built with Americans in mind, because if you see, the bridges here are closer together, which allows for an easier dispersion of your two riflemen when you want to flank. But then the second rifleman has a much longer distance to get all the way around, so you're going to have to time that quite well. You're going to have to send the first rifleman down the south, be waiting, then the second rifleman rather, and then you can flank this house. But you've got to remember, you can actually be coming from the north at this time, but there is a large stretch of water all the way. So it is divided between. Definitely the south is more divided than the north and the middle. So if we were to look at the map, you've got the middle, you've got the north, and then the south. The south is very much the extremity of this map, I think, anyway, judging by distance. Although Wehrmacht, if we look at the bases, they're ever so slightly... No, it's pretty much similar difference. Interesting to note, let's talk about the changes Trial Bob had to make since he first made the map. This church was about here originally, and it could watch over these strong bridges a lot more closely. I think Stephen and Bart and PL were actually playing this map extensively, and they suggested that, and Trial Bob took their criticism on board and changed the church. He also changed the model, which is interesting. And let's talk about other changes he made. He actually added these bridges in because he wanted us to play on the further reaches of the map a lot more. Originally, the play when he first made the map available seemed to be just in the centre, but having played it, this is actually a replay of mine. I just got trounced by Quavzar. I kind of confirmed that it does tend to push you towards the extremities a lot more, and it is good for that reason, and it has got a nice flow to it. The Wehrmacht can control large portions of the map due to the cut-off nature, but the Americans can harass the extremities quite a lot as well. So I think that's pretty much wrapped it up for what I think of the map. I can't think of much more I need to say. Yeah, it looks pretty damn good. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.